Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samaa News. Here are today's headlines. US President Donald Trump has warned he may break the ceasefire if Hamas continues targeting alleged collaborators and gangs in Gaza. In a social media post, he warned Hamas of dire consequences if the killings continued. The remark marks a sharp shift from his earlier praise of Hamas for taking on local gangs and risks reigniting violence in the enclave. Planning has begun for an international force to go into Gaza to stabilize security in the Palestinian enclave. One of the top requirements of US President Trump's 20-point Gaza plan is formation of a US-backed stabilization force. The United States has agreed to provide up to 200 troops to support the force without being deployed in Gaza itself. Meanwhile, President Trump said he would meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Budapest to discuss ending the Ukraine war, following what he called a very productive phone call that lasted more than 2 hours. Trump said the success in the Middle East could pave the way for peace in Europe, with US and Russian advisors meeting next week to prepare for the summit. The Trump administration plans to shift terrorism prevention funds from Democratic-led states to Republican-led ones, under a $1 billion program created after September 11th. Records show Democrat states like California and Illinois face deep cuts, while Wisconsin and Ohio see major increases. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has said that Pakistan is ready for talks if the Afghan government fulfills its justified conditions. He told the federal cabinet that the 48-hour ceasefire was requested by Kabul and accepted by Islamabad in good faith. The Prime Minister said the ball is now in Afghanistan's court, following days of cross-border clashes. Meanwhile, security sources have confirmed that the friendship gate between Pakistan and Afghanistan remains fully intact, rejecting the Afghan Taliban's false claims of its destruction. Officials say the Taliban damaged the gate on their own side and spread propaganda to mislead the public. Also, President Vladimir Putin says Russia will produce 510 million tons of oil in 2025, a slight dip from last year, but in line with OPEC+ targets. He confirmed Moscow's commitment to balancing global oil markets, while pipeline gas exports are expected to drop 10.7%. Putin said coal will remain vital and called for new support measures for the sector. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the federal government shutdown may cost the US economy up to $15 billion a day, a claim later corrected by the Treasury to $15 billion a week. Bessent told a news conference that the shutdown has started to cut into the muscle of the US economy. French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has survived the first of 2 no-confidence votes, winning support from the Socialist Party after promising to suspend Macron's pension reform. The motion by France Unbowed fell short with 271 votes, below the 289 needed to topple his week-old government. Britain is facing a rising threat from hostile states, including Russia, Iran and China, while the terrorism risk remains huge, according to MI5 Director General Ken McCallum. He says there's been a 35% surge in people under investigation for state-linked activity, warning that these nations are increasingly using the same ugly tactics often employed by terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. The European Commission has proposed 4 major defence projects, including a counter-drone system and a plan to fortify the EU's eastern borders by 2030. The roadmap reflects rising fears that Russia could target an EU member in the coming years. Leaders of the 27 member states will now decide which projects move forward. China has lodged a strong protest with the United Kingdom over its latest sanctions targeting Russian oil companies and several Chinese refiners and port operators. Beijing called the move unilateral and said it had made solemn representations to London. Also, China has expressed dissatisfaction over US President Donald Trump's threat of 100% tariffs on Chinese exports. At a press briefing in Beijing, Commerce Ministry spokesperson He Yongqian urged Washington to correct its erroneous practices and respect past trade understandings. He also accused the US new energy vehicle subsidy of violating WTO rules, adding that Beijing will strengthen foreign trade policies to counter pressure. And the International Atomic Energy Agency has named a Chinese institution as its first Center for Research and Training in Fusion Energy. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi says the new center at the Southwestern Institute of Physics will play an effective role in driving fusion research and development. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samaa.tv. Thank you for watching Samaa News.